So we are in D.C.
So we are in D.C.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
American democracy has had a rough past few years. An attempted coup, made-up claims of election fraud, and a Supreme Court that's just kind of doing its own thing, regardless of precedent or public opinion. Now that same court will be deciding a case that could turn elections into partisan free-for-alls. The case, Moore versus Harper, was brought by a group of Republican lawmakers in North Carolina who have tried again and again to gerrymander their state in favor of their party. But Democratic-appointed state judges kept standing in their way, so those lawmakers have turned to the Elections Clause in the Constitution and have interpreted it very narrowly. The little-known clause is 44 words that the North Carolina proponents say gives state legislatures near total authority and control over federal elections. Control so total that it can only be challenged in a federal court. People who want this call it the independent state legislature theory, and some of the most prominent backers are lawyers for former President Trump, who tried to make similar arguments to overturn the 2020 election results.
This election was rigged, and the Supreme Court and other courts didn't want to do anything about it.
There are a few different ways this could play out if the Supreme Court goes for it. First, gerrymandering could become immune to court challenges, which is currently the main way of fighting partisan redistricting. And that could allow something even more extreme. State legislatures could become an unchecked branch of government, meaning a majority party could keep itself in power, maybe indefinitely. The door would also be opened for state lawmakers to change voting rules or completely refuse to certify the election results in, say, a presidential race. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments for the case where justices drilled down on legal theories for 3 full hours.
This is a proposal that gets rid of the normal checks and balances on the way big governmental decisions are made in this country. And you might think that it gets rid of all those checks and balances at exactly the time when they are needed most.
There's been a lot of talk about the impact of this decision on democracy. Do you think that it furthers democracy to transfer the political controversy about districting from the legislature to elected Supreme Courts where the candidates are permitted by state law to campaign on the issue of districting?
One Republican elections attorney, Ben Ginsburg, says this independent state legislature theory started to pick up steam after the 2010 census, which gave the GOP an advantage. But total control for any branch of the government is extreme, and even some Republicans, like Ginsburg, have penned briefs in opposition to the North Carolina GOP's stance. Conservative Judge Michael Luttig called it, quote, the most important case for American democracy since the founding of the country. But that doesn't matter to North Carolina Speaker of the House and namesake of the case, Tim Moore.
Speaker Moore, there are a number of conservative legal minds who wrote in opposition to this case. What is your response to other conservatives who say that this ISL is not a conservative legal theory, that it might actually take away power from the states?
I'm aware of that argument. I respectfully disagree with it. At the end of the day, it's not about what helps Republicans, what helps Democrats. It's about what do we believe the U.S. Constitution says. When the framers wrote the Constitution, they didn't say the states, they didn't say the state courts, they said the state legislatures. They knew well what that meant.
At the root of this is a fundamental disagreement over what the future of elections should look like in this country. The team advocating against the independent state legislature theory outlined those stakes after the arguments.
The theory that was being proposed was pretty absurd and ahistorical. I mean, they want to reverse more than 233 years of this nation's traditions and history. They want to go even back beyond 1787 and the foundation of the Constitution to say even what was going on in the Articles of Confederation was illegal under their theory. They want to just blow past a lot of precedent of the United States Supreme Court just to get to their preferred policy outcome.
I am really here as just a voter from North Carolina. Free and fair elections are foundational to our democracy. It is essential that we protect the rights of voters to elect representatives of their choosing. And when we have elected officials, politicians picking their voters, then democracy is endangered for all of us.
I'm Michael Learmonth, editor-in-chief of Vice News. Too often, traditional news outlets shy away from the real stories and experiences of those living through global conflicts. Not Vice News. Our reporters are on the ground, fearlessly covering the human stories that shape our world. You and millions of others can continue to read, watch, and listen to Vice News for free. But we hope you'll consider making a one-time or ongoing contribution of any size at vice.com/contribute. Every contribution, no matter how big or small, helps support the journalism Vice News brings to you every day. Thank you.